Good morning, everybody. I'm coming to you from Nicosia, Cyprus on this Wednesday morning, and I thought it would be a good time to do a news update. It's a bit windy, but I think we'll be all right. I think the sound will be okay. So let's get to some of the news stories because we have a lot to talk about. And let's start with I believe it's confirmation now that you had 1,000 Ukraine Marines surrender in Mariupol. I think that's pretty much been confirmed right now. One sec. Oh, we're taking down trees here. Taking down branches, not trees. And Kadyrov came out with a post on Instagram, and he said that 1,000 Marines have indeed surrendered. And if you guys can see, that's Privet Bank. If that name rings a bell, let me know in the comments down below. Privet Bank. This is their branch in Nicosia. So Kadyrov, an amazing leader for Chechnya, to be quite honest, came out with an Instagram post. He said 1,000 Marines have surrendered in Mariupol. He also urged more Marines to surrender and more soldiers to surrender because it doesn't make sense to die for the clown comedian puppet leader Elensky. Doesn't make sense, and Kadyrov is right. So hopefully more men will come to their senses and say, it's not worth dying for Elensky and Newland, Sullivan, von der Leyen, and all of these people. So we have that news, and I would say it's confirmed. I'm not 100%, but I think we have enough sources which are saying this, and enough video and photos. And I think even the Ministry of Defense, the Russian Ministry of Defense, came out with a statement, something along those lines. I'm not sure if the Ministry of Defense said something, but anyway, let's say that that's a certainty. The Marines surrendering in Mariupol, 1,000. That's big. I think that's the biggest number yet. So it's significant. It means that, and they're Marines, so it means that the Ukraine military might be coming to its senses, and that's a good thing because we don't need more young Ukrainians to die for these vampires, these demons. So we have that story. We have the story that since we're on the topic of Elensky and demons, let me go this way. We have the story that Elensky decided to tweet a photo of Medvedchuk. Now, Medvedchuk is almost got hit by that car. Medvedchuk is the opposition leader. He's like the main opposition leader. I mean, he's a politician, and he's been branded as sympathetic to Russia. A lot of people have tried to say he's like buddies with Putin. I think that's completely BS. He's not buddies with Putin. Anyone that's sympathetic with Russia is like buddies with Putin. Putin must know like everybody in the in the world. He must know like billions of people. Billions of people are Putin's buddy, because if anyone's sympathetic to Russia, well, then you're buddies with Putin. But anyway, look, Medvedchuk was someone who had a very popular party. I mean, like a big opposition party, a lot of support, mainly from the East Center, the Russian-speaking population. But it was a significant party. And he was placed under house arrest by Elensky and his goons before the conflict. That's the key point that I want everyone to take away from this. He was placed, the opposition leader of a political party was placed under house arrest before the conflict even broke out, significantly before, like a year before everything happened in Ukraine, the recent events. And when the special operation happened, a lot of people asked, where's Medvedchuk? Did the Russians get him? And we thought most likely the Russians got him, and they're holding him, they're keeping him. But now we find out that Elensky got him, the Elensky regime, they got him. Of course, Elensky is saying that they captured him as he was trying to escape and flee, or he was in hiding, and the SBU, they acted like heroes, he said, and they found him, and all of this nonsense. He was playing it up. Elensky was playing it up, being the clown puppet actor that he is, and he made it seem like the SBU performed this heroic intelligence act, this heroic act to find Medvedchuk. I think that's BS. I think they had him all along. They had him all along, and for some reason they were waiting to trot him out now. And they're trotting him out, and they're saying that they've got Putin's buddy, Medvedchuk, and they have the photo. You'll see the photo right now. He's wearing like military fatigues. And anyway, you know, they're this guy's he's a politician. And it's like, it would be like placing under arrest. I don't know. Let me think. Who would it be? It would be like taking, like Boris Johnson taking Keir Starmer and putting him under arrest. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people in the UK are going to be like, yeah, do it, but let's also put Boris Johnson under arrest. But you guys know what I mean. This is the democracy of Ukraine. This is the beacon of democracy that everyone is gushing over, that they arrest political prisoners, and then when the conflict breaks out, they nab them, they hold them in a secret location, and then they trot them out for certain reasons. And what are those reasons? I think Gonzalo Lira may be onto something. I think one of those reasons is perhaps a prisoner exchange. Maybe Medvedchuk with some of the people in the steel factory in Mariupol, Azovstal. Perhaps that might be it. Maybe the general. I'm actually hearing 2 U.S. generals may actually be in Azovstal. I don't know. I can't confirm any of that, of course, but maybe the puppeteers of Elensky said, okay, now we can take this pawn and use him, because they've had him all along. I don't think it was some special operation, that some SBU special op that found Medvedchuk and they nabbed him just now. They had him from the beginning. Probably when the special operation happened, they had him under house arrest, and then they took him and they put him under real arrest, and they hid him away and saved him for a later time. And that later time is now. And they're going to use him as a pawn, as some sort of leverage. So I think that Gonzalo, on his Telegram, he put it out there that they're going to use Medvedchuk perhaps to bargain Medvedchuk's life for 1 or 2 of these U.S. generals or French military, who knows, in Mariupol. Maybe. That's a possibility. But it's really disgusting that Elensky posts a picture of a political leader, a politician, a leader of the opposition party, and he posts it on his Twitter. And then he starts lecturing us about democracy, freedom, liberty, and democracy, when he's jailing politicians who don't agree with him. And once again, Medvedchuk is not some Putin friend or anything like that. Does he appeal to the Russian-speaking demographic of Ukraine? Yeah, absolutely. Does that make him a Putin puppet? No. Does that make him Putin's best buddy? No. No, he's just a politician who focuses on a certain demographic, a certain segment of the population. That's his support base. But that wasn't, Zelensky was going to have none of that. The great democratic leader, Elensky, jailing political opponents, and then putting them in prison, and then tweeting about it to the entire world. So anyway, that's a big story right there. Very big story, because everyone was asking, where's Medvedchuk? Where is he? Well, now we know. Ukraine had him all along, and don't believe any stories that they found him just now. They had him all along. And now they're using him. For what? Another mystery. We'll find out. Let's see, we have Putin. Putin speaking in Vostochny at the Cosmodrome. He was accompanied by Lukashenko, and they were in the far east of Russia, and Putin made some comments. And I'm going to need to find a place to sit down and read you some of Putin's comments, because he talked about Ukraine, of course. He also talked about the village outside of Kiev and how he thinks that's a bunch of BS. And let's see, where can I go here to read you guys this? Somewhere quiet, somewhere where I can sit down. I know where. I'll let me find it here. As I'm walking, I'll try to read and just be careful. So Putin on Ukraine. This is what he said when he was giving his press conference. And once again, he was accompanied by Lukashenko, which is fascinating. I mean, Lukashenko is his, that's it. They're attached to the hip. Lukashenko, at one point in time, he used to be playing the East off against the West. Now he's accompanying Putin to the Cosmodrome to talk about lunar landings and space travel. Meanwhile, the EU is talking about food shortages, and Biden is giving speeches about mixing, what is he saying? Mixing gas and ethanol in order to deal with inflation. The Russians are talking about space and space travel, and Biden is talking about mixing your gasoline with other substances. Who's winning the sanctions war? So Putin said this. He said, with regards to the timing of the military offensive in Ukraine, he said it was determined by the intensity and is determined by the intensity of hostilities, and Russia will act according to its plan. And I quote, he says, "I often get these questions. Can't we hurry it up? We can, but it depends on the intensity of hostilities. And any way you put it, the intensity of hostilities is directly related to causalities." Putin also said, he added, that our task is to achieve the set goals while minimizing these losses. We will act rhythmically, calmly, and according to the plan that was initially proposed by the general staff. Putin also thanked the Russian soldiers for fighting in Ukraine, for their heroic service to their homeland and for protecting Russia's interests. Putin stated that a confrontation, this is an interesting part, a confrontation with the forces that were being brought up by the West in Ukraine, a confrontation with radical nationalists and neo-Nazis in Ukraine was inevitable, and that it was only a matter of time. They were preparing and waiting for their hour. And as I've said, we aren't going to let them do that. That's the logic of our actions. Putin explained that seeing Ukrainian soldiers wearing SS Galicia patches, a division of the NAZI forces that were responsible for numerous slaughters of Russians, Jewish, Ukrainian, and Polish civilians during World War II in Donbass, only further proves that the timing of Russia's operation was correct, or else there would have been even more of them. And so those were Putin's statements with regards to the special operation in Ukraine. And then Putin started to talk about what's going on, or what happened at this village outside of Kiev. And he had some very interesting statements. Let me read them out for you. This is coming from Putin with regards to that village. Quote, "I've been talking to colleagues from Western countries often up until now. And when they say this village outside of Kiev to me, I ask them, have you ever been to Raqqa? Have you seen how this Syrian city was completely flattened by American aviation? Corpses have been laying there decomposing in ruins for months, and nobody cared about that." Putin also said that there were mass killings of civilians by the West in Afghanistan, which had been met with the same silence. There was no such silence when they staged provocations in Syria, when they imagined the use of chemical weapons by the Assad government. Then it turned out that it was a fake, the same fake as in this village in Kiev, outside of Kiev. And here's a really interesting part. Putin also added that the country's intelligence services have already received materials proving that the village outside of Kiev was, which was largely branded as a massacre, was staged. And this was given to him from the Belarusian counterparts. So this intelligence that Russia seems to have gotten was provided by the Belarusian counterparts. However, Putin has not elaborated on the materials. So those are the statements from Putin with regards to this this incident that took place in this village in Kiev. And finally, let's get to a clown world, everybody. And this clown world is has to do with Macron. And then we'll talk about the German president as well. Actually, let's talk about the German president first. So you have Steinmeier, who's the president of Germany. He wanted to go visit Elensky in Kiev. And what did Elensky tell him? He said, no, you can't visit me. Because Steinmeier, who was at one point in time the foreign minister of Germany, had pretty good relations with Russia. I mean, he would speak with the Russians and he would speak with Putin. And for Elensky, that's a no-go. So Elensky told the German president not to come to visit him in Kiev. It seems everyone is going to Kiev, as I've said in many videos in the past. Kiev is a really hot ticket for many of these world leaders to visit. But can you imagine that? The comedian puppet president of Ukraine is telling the German president not to visit. He is snubbing the German president. And for the German people, this is the man that you're willing to destroy your economy over. A comedian puppet that won't even sit down and speak with your president. Shameful. And the other person that they said was going to be visiting Kiev is Macron. And Macron said that he's not going to visit Kiev because it's fashionable. And he doesn't want to just visit Elensky because of fashions and trends. So Macron is equating Elensky's popularity with a fashion trend. And we all know what happens with fashion trends, don't we? 1 minute, something's in fashion. The next minute, it's out of fashion. And Macron is realizing this. Given the fact that Macron is a globalist stooge, he is clever. And Macron has realized that the Elensky project is going to crumble very, very soon. And the only thing Macron cares about at this point, in my opinion, is covering up the French soldiers stuck in Mariupol before the elections on April 24th. He wants to cover that up. He wants to silence it up until the April 24th elections. After that, I think Macron's not going to care. But that's the only thing he's concerned about, is how do I bottle up this scandal in Mariupol? And he has no interest to visit Elensky because he knows that Elensky is a fashion trend that is just that, a trend. And it's going to go out of fashion very, very soon. And the entire Ukraine project is going to collapse. And Macron's saying, Zelensky's done. On with the next thing. Anyway, everybody, that is the video, theduran.locals.com. Check out Alexander's channel and check out the Duran's main channel. That's it for me now. Take care.